Dear future Vietnamese expat, my name is Stephanie. I have been living in Vietnam with my husband and my two boys aged 12 and 16 for 13 years. I experienced my relocation on my own, so I know that moving to Vietnam can be both challenging and rewarding for expats. This brief video has been created in order to help you understand that this country is perfectly capable of offering you all the comforts that you require, but with certain points you need to be aware of. Vietnamese public transportation is not used by expatriates. Bus shelters are generally not located in expatriates districts and drivers do not speak English. Your means of transportation will therefore be summarized in two options for now: driving a scooter or renting a car with a driver. Renting a motorbike is quite cheap, about 60 USD for 1 month and 5 USD for the gas. The first metro line in Ho Chi Minh City is planned for the end of 2020. Expats working in Vietnam must subscribe to a private medical insurance. It's important to make sure which services are covered by your insurance, because although consultations are generally cheaper than in Europe, emergency services are more expensive. Do not consider public hospitals where doctors only speak Vietnamese, but think of private hospitals where medical infrastructure is very good. Also, the doctors are of all nationalities and specificities, so you have a lot of choice and good choices. As far as food is concerned, local food will definitely cost you less than imported food. Despite their prices, you will find all the products you need in Vietnamese supermarkets. Education may form the highest expense for expats in Vietnam. Most of the expats send their children to international schools. Tuition fee for these schools is expensive and may not cover extra expenses like school catering and transportation. Vietnam has a relatively low crime rate and locals are generally a very law-abiding people. Violent crime is uncommon, but petty crime occurs. The most common forms of petty crimes are theft and pickpocketing. Living in Vietnam can be a real culture shock when you are not prepared. Working with the locals is quite complicated, as their working standards are different from the Westerners. Also, Vietnamese people live a lot in the streets. They eat by the dozens on small tables and chairs on the sidewalks, take a nap in hammocks in the street and lift their t-shirt above their stomach to get some air. The largest degree of culture shock in Vietnam mostly remains the corruption, the lack of fixed laws and the absurd bureaucracy. The official language of the country is Vietnamese. More and more locals speak English, especially in tourist areas and expatriate neighborhoods. However, you will very often find yourself in a situation where no one understands you, other than with your hands and your mimed explanations. Ho Chi Minh City is the largest business center in the country and the best place to seek employment. It's important to note that it will be easier for you to find work before going to Vietnam, as a work permit is mandatory and can only be given to you if you are sponsored by a company. However, if you want to look for work on the spot, the network is meaningful. Finally, you must be aware that living in Vietnam will not necessarily cost you less than in your home country. The real estate market is relatively expensive. A house in a compound with 4 bedrooms and a private swimming pool will cost you about 3,000 USD. As well as education with schools charged between 15,000 USD and 40,000 USD per child per year. You should also be warned that the administrative procedures, declaration, filing a complaint, blah 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 blah, are complicated and impossible to do alone. You must be accompanied by a local. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you can now see a little bit more clearly about life in Vietnam. Looking forward to helping you.